So welcome to Enhancing the Accountant Bookkeeper Connection series with Jonathan Carter from KATA Accounting. And hello, I am Tanya Hills. Most of you probably know me. I am a certified professional bookkeeper and an accredited impactful advisor. And I'm here because I'm very passionate about collaboration. And you can find me at Tanya's Bootcamp on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, which is where this goes up. A little bit about me. I've received my accredited impactful advisor designation in 2021. I'm also a level 5 certified advisor through Mentor Plus under the tutelage of Jeannie Whitehouse, insightful accountant, top 100 ProAdvisor for 4 years running, top Canadian ProAdvisor for 2020, Intuit's Global Firm of the Future for 2018, a volunteer mentor through Futurepreneur Canada and Women in Accounting, a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, director of CPB Canada, and founder of Cloud Business Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. And that quote is by Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company. And I just love that quote because it is truly about collaboration, and we can all be successful if we're all moving forward together. This webinar will qualify for CPD credits through CPB Canada. There will be 2 polls that must both be answered in order to qualify. And recording of the webinar and your CPD credits will be emailed within 2 days. They will come from bootcamp@mycbs.ca is the new email address they're coming from. So if you don't have it in 2 days, check your junk mail before you reach out, please. And then whitelist us. So we are featuring Jonathan Carter of KATA Accounting. He is the founder and principal accountant of KATA Accounting Solutions. We've been collaborating with Jonathan and his team for a number of years. We've got multiple mutual clients. He's my accountant as well. He works in QBO, great attention to detail and outstanding customer service. And so Jonathan, you can take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. So yeah, we had a bit of a discussion earlier. We were considering doing CSRS 4200, not sure that really helps people. So we're doing a different topic today. That should be a little bit more fun. So I'm Jonathan Carter. I'm the founder of KATA Accounting Solutions. I'm the principal accountant here. We have a couple of accountants, and now we have 16 members total. I was a member of the inaugural Intuit Accountants Council. I have a long-standing relationship with Intuit. Just had some back and forth about work papers yesterday. It looks like they're working on it, Tanya. I was a recipient of the 2018 Inspire Accountant Award for contributions to the future of the industry. That was extremely flattering. That was the first award that we received in this realm. We are elite ProAdvisors. I am QBO Advanced certified. It's mandated that the team, all new team members have to be basic certified within a month, and we're pushing to have everybody advanced certified before 6 months, although some of our older team members are probably going to be more than 6 months. And then, yes, with first time being a top 100 ProAdvisor this year. We are the trusted advisor for several bookkeeping firms, and we do taxes for quite a few. We're considered thought leaders in technology and accounting, and we love to collaborate, communicate, and innovate. So today I want to talk about goals and resolutions. Now, we have some blog posts coming out that really inspired this, and it's really made me sit back and reflect and think about my resolutions, my goals. I don't normally make resolutions, but this year I actually am. So the first one is coming out December 27th about resolutions, and then the following week, the one about goals will be coming out. Today we're going to talk a lot about the differences and then SMART goals. There've been a lot of times where I've set a goal and not achieved it because either it wasn't a SMART goal or I had no plan in place. So either of those can totally tank it. We're going to talk about some examples, and then what are dreams, hopes, and aspirations, and how do you get from there back to setting goals and actually achieving those aspirations. So poll question number 1. Which of the following might be a SMART goal? I will eat my vegetables. I will stop drinking. I'll lose 10 pounds by the start of summer. I will buy a Mercedes-Benz, or C and D.
All right. Sorry, you guys have to give me a second here. I have to allow panelists to vote. So give me end poll. I just have to relaunch it. Allow panelists to vote. Relaunch. Okay, hopefully you guys can vote now. There we are. Okay. All right, just a reminder, both polls must be answered in order to qualify, but everybody's answered. So we're just going to stop it right now and share the results. I will lose 10 pounds by the start of summer.
Sounds like everybody is familiar with what a SMART goal is. Now, the only reason I say it might be is because depending on who's speaking, that might not be a realistic goal. For, you know, somebody who's really small already, like 100 pounds soaking wet, maybe losing 10 pounds is not a realistic goal, not really attainable. So that's why I said might be a SMART goal. So what's the difference? Resolutions are statements about actions you're going to take, or I think for business owners, it's more actions we're not going to take in order like to improve our lives in the future. So like, I won't smoke. That could be a resolution. I will only drink on special occasions. The example I use here. I will add a word of caution to this one because I had a friend who did this and then just got blotto every time there was a special occasion. And that special occasion might be like meeting the boys for a Leaf game at the pub kind of thing. So you got to be like, understand your personality and understand your behaviors. You got to be cautious that going one way doesn't cause a huge swing in another direction that is negative, has a negative impact on your life. So goals are more specific. They're very clearly identifiable, and they're tied to an ambition or effort. So the I will lose 10 pounds by the end of March, that could be very specific. You have a deadline on it. You have a very specific goal. And again, we talked about, is this realistic considering your current situation? For me, losing 10 pounds by the end of March, completely realistic because I'm over 300 pounds. It's not a lot of weight by body fat percentage, but different people, it's going to be different things. So what will you do, or perhaps more importantly, what will you not do to improve your work-life balance? These are some of the things I am doing, and I need to qualify them a bit. So I am turning off all notifications. That is all audio, all vibrations, things like that. I will still have the notifications on my phone, but I will have to actively pick up my phone and look for them in order to actually know that they're there. And the reason being is I've noticed that when notifications pop up, they're a quick distraction. And all of a sudden you're like kind of stressed. It's like, oh, I need to address that, but I'm working on this. It breaks your concentration. There's a lot of reasons, but I think overall just make life better. I will take my time to consider a commitment or task before saying yes. In other words, I'm going to say no more often. I got better at this in 2021. But there's still some stuff that has to be done for this in 2022. As we were talking before we started recording, saying no to the wrong types of customers is a very, very good start for that. So I will build systems and processes while I'm doing the work. This is something, because we're always trying to improve our processes, this is something that I want to start doing for myself. The reason it saves time in the long run is because then those processes can be delegated. You can hire somebody to do them, or you don't have to think when you're doing it. You don't have to worry about missing a step because it's all written down. Yes, when I'm doing it at the beginning, it's going to take me longer, but I think in the long term, it'll really have a big payoff. People have heard me speak about Q1 and Q2, Q3, and Q4 activities. This is definitely a high value, high return activity, setting up processes. So how about you guys? Do you guys have any resolutions?
I actually would just like to jump in and just give a little tip as to building the systems and processes. And this is what we tell people in Bootcamp, because of course that's what Bootcamp's all about, is really helping with that efficiency. So because some people say, I can't train my team to do it because it takes too long. It's quicker for me to do it myself. So you're right. It may take a little bit longer, but it's better. But what you do is if you use, and there's free versions that you can use, so this is not going to cost anything, Loom, excuse me, and Otter AI, pull them together. Loom is doing a beta of a transcription, but Otter AI is really, really good transcription. Do them together. So you're screen recording, and you speak out loud as you're doing the process, you now have a video that people can watch, and Otter AI will transcribe. It's not perfect, so you still have to look over and make sure, but as you're doing it, you would say, step 1, I'm going to do this. Step 2, I would do this. So you speak like you would be writing it, and then you just have to go and edit it. And now you've got a Loom copy of the video to go with it, and you boom, and there's your process. Just a little tip.
That's a great idea. One of the things I want to do is not be creating the processes. I want team to be creating the processes. So I think that will really help me in that.
Absolutely, because you can go back and take a look at it and maybe watch that and then see if there's something that they missed.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
that's great.
do you have any resolutions, Tanya?
Yes, I absolutely do. My
Are
resolution,
you willing to share them?
I absolutely am.
Okay.
My resolutions is to focus on me. That means I need to get out of the business, and we've been working very hard, and I've been saying this since like June of COVID starting, and it hasn't happened. I don't want to have to work weekends and evenings to be able to catch up on the work. So we have been working really hard. We have scaled down on our clients. We're delegating more. Sandra's learning, taking over more. We've got somebody else in here. We've got some stuff to clean up, because I want to be able to, that if I choose to work nights and weekends, because let's face it, my daughter's moving out in March. My husband works, he works shift work. So I might want to work a weekend when he's here, but that will be working like on the business, not in the business. I want to be able to do creative things, stuff like that, maybe do my blogging or whatever, instead of do like the deep work, the work that I have to do. So that is one of my focuses for the new year. And we're getting there. We're really, really getting there. And the second thing is I want to put more of a focus on being an influencer. I'm working with Richard Ropa Roberts. I'm really enjoying that. I will say that we're working on 2 contracts right now with apps, which would be really good, which should only take a couple of hours a week. They want to pay for, between the pair of them, they'll pay for our conferences as well. And it'll be doing different work. So helping them on the development, working more on the social media side, doing some more webinars, just really, really helping them with that side of things. And like I said, there's only 2 apps we're really interested in working with right now, because I still have to be, it's still very important to me that I believe in it and that they're ethically aligned with my visions and my ethics. I will not just go into a contract for the sake of a contract. So now that people are hearing me say that, I will not go into a contract just for the sake of making money. It still has to be, I have to believe in it, but that's really, really exciting getting to there, because that's a whole new chapter. So those are what I really want to do. That'll really help me with my personal satisfaction and the balance.
That's awesome. I already consider you an influencer. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who probably do already.
Well,
yeah.
but
there is a way to monetize it. Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly it. So right now I'm just an influencer based on, what I believe in, but this would be actually doing, more work. But because it would, and I am already in a paid contract right now with auto review for the last 6 months. Many people know that, but it's still really important to me that I am not going to speak a script.
Yeah.
Right. So when I choose who to partner with, I'm not going to be speaking a script. I'm not going to just be their little parrot. I still need to be me, because that ethical part of me and speaking the truth is extremely, extremely important. And I will not bend on that just for the sake of money. And that's it. But, these companies I've been doing work with, they're going to pay me to do more of the work that I've been doing for free for them, basically. So, yeah. Hey, it's great. But like I said, I just wanted to add that codicil in that, although it would be like a paid positions apps, it is still, I will not, like I went into to Dext. They actually wanted me on a webinar. So I said, okay, yep. here's the cost for me to show up on the webinar, just a little chat. But I said to them, I said, it's extremely important. We use the deck side of things. I said, precision, do not ask me about precision. I have never looked at precision, but precision is in direct competition with auto review. And I love auto review. I love everything that I've seen. So if you ask me about precision, you're not going to like the answer. So avoid that altogether conversation with me. They were like, no problem, no problem.
I think that's really good, just to be really upfront about that. Sandra, you got any? Okay, I got to say, I love your glasses.
Thank you.
Do you like glasses?
They're just computer glasses, and I have to wear them because I found like when I don't, my eyes, like by the end of the day, like after staring at the computer for 8 hours, the end of the day, it's just, yeah, I like sometimes I just get headaches, but I have no problem with like reading or anything. So they're just computer glasses that I bought on Amazon.
Okay.
So I would say probably more goals than resolutions, to be honest with you.
All right, let's hold off on those then. So no resolutions, because I'm going to ask you about your goals after. Bori, do you have any resolutions you want to share? All right, we'll wait for her to type those in. But yes, I want to hear about your goals. But let's just talk about SMART goals real quick. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this before. It's extremely important. You know, the goal has to be specific. What exactly are you trying to achieve? For me, this goes back to why, right? Like, I mean, I want to achieve $1 million in sales. Okay, great. Why? What is your why? Why do you want to do that? It has to be measurable. You know, $1 million, that's a very easy thing to measure. And then attainable. Is it a possibility? Now, depending on the type of business, that could be possible. We have seen businesses go from $0 to $2 million in 2 months. Like, we've seen crazy things like that happen, but it depends on the business. Is it quickly scalable? Are you doing all the work? Those kind of things. So that brings us to realistic. You have to have the resources to be able to execute on the goal. So if you're a labor intense organization and you're a one-man show or one woman show, and you want to achieve $1 million in sales, is that a realistic goal? Is that realistically attainable given that there's only one person doing the work? You know, these are things to think about. And then of course, timely or time bound, you have to have a deadline on that goal. So these are just some examples. These are not my specific goals, but these are just some examples of things that could be SMART goals. For instance, we will grow our sales by 15% by the end of 2022. We'll cut our expenses by 5% by the end of 2022. We'll acquire 1 new bookkeeping customer per month in 2022. We'll acquire 75 new tax customers by April 30th, 2022. These are just some examples. But again, you got to be careful. There could be dangers. So for instance, if you wanted to grow your revenue 15% and drop your expenses 5%, are those goals kind of in conflict with each other? I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about your gross margin? You want to decrease those costs, your cost of goods sold? What are we talking about? You have to be even more specific and be aware of whether or not they're achievable. The second two have a little bit of danger associated with them as well. Is your goal going to supersede your finding the correct customers, the right customers to work with? Because if you're just going to accept one, if you just want 1 new bookkeeping customer a month, you can do that. It's a lot easier than getting 1 good bookkeeping customer a month. So there's a big difference, something to consider there. So
well, not to mention, to add to that, if you're doing that goal and maybe you don't have the proper capacity on the team, you either need to potentially expand your team, or are you doing the work properly? Are you taking shortcuts, which, you know, will ultimately, you know, negatively impact your business and that customer, of course, right? So yeah,
it could open your nose to liability. It could
absolutely,
you know, result in bad customer relations with your best customers if you're getting overloaded, things like that. But that's part of the reason we hired 2 people this year. We need the resources. Sandra, you had a goal.
Yeah, so I guess as Tanya has kind of mentioned, my goal more or less is to kind of learn like the higher end of bookkeeping and help with year ends more. And I also have been and would like to continue to work towards my designation to get my my full CPB.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I hear specifics, but I don't hear time bound.
So,
And I don't hear measurable.
So I would definitely say by the end of 2022, but more so, I would say even by like the middle, by June, July, like that's something I've been working towards and something that is very important to me. And some of it is because I'm also taking the course in Trifold and they haven't brought out the second course yet. So I can't.
It's hard to put a timeline on that when you don't know when the course is starting. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. So,
Fair
but yeah, I've definitely been working towards it and I'm definitely getting there. So.
How about you, Tanya?
Well, I mean, as you were going through with that, I thought, my first resolution is really a resolution and a SMART goal, the one to stop by January working evenings and weekends.
Yeah.
On work. So that's really a SMART goal as well as a resolution, I guess. But no, that's really, that encompasses it all. I need to focus on me, on my health this year. This is the year for me to focus on me and my health. And of course, Sandra's SMART goal works beautifully in with mine because that's it. We can do that. And we fired 3 clients and we've, upped stuff, and we're not planning on growing because we've had that growth and it hasn't worked for us. So
it's so true, eh?
It really is. We have got such a really good chemistry with the 3 of us. Tammy Lee fits in great. There's a couple of people that I would love to be able to hire on full time, but I can't just bring them in contract. I would have to do that, and it's just not in the budget, and we can't just poof all of a sudden bring in that much money for them to be able to do that. There's one bookkeeper who's going on her own, who I think would be an absolutely excellent fit, but again, it's not in the book. So I think we're just going to focus on, again, just the 3 of us. I think the 3 of us completely agree. We've got such good chemistry between us, and we can make wonderful things happen. I mean, this is the team of the 3 of us. We're the firm of the future, right? Yeah. So the last and the reigning, right? So yeah, so I think our focus is, again, like with that, which, falls directly in line with Sandra's, is to just do that. So we've cut our clients back so that way we can, do more. We've, spoken to our clients and we've increased the workload in there to be able to balance out the loss in the income. We love the clients that we have. We've, cut those that were not ideal clients and that we don't love to work with, and, just kind of continue to try to find that balance, so that we can all achieve everything that we want to achieve and still keep the magic and not throw in all of that extra stress and whatnot. So that's not really a SMART goal, but like I said, in there is a bunch of little SMART goals that all work together that's our end culminating result anyway. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to dreams, hopes, and aspirations. These are things that are general nature. One of my favorite quotes from a classic rock song really sums it up. And the someday never comes. I don't know if you know this TCR song, the someday never comes. They tend to be absent of deadlines. It's like, very ambitious, but there's no real, this is how I'm going to measure success. This is when this is going to happen by, things like that. They're often completely out of the realm of possible thought for most people, and sometimes thought of as daydreams or fantasies. So for instance, one of my aspirations, and this is not, I think you can break down an aspiration into a series of goals to get where you want to be. And that is, I want our firm to have $1 million+ in revenue a year. We're not there, and we're years away from getting there. But by breaking that down into goals, into smaller components, we're more likely to get there than otherwise. So this is just a slide that I decided to include at the end. These are some ways to increase your odds of achieving your goals. And you'll see in the background a copy of the habit loop. I'm sure people have heard me talk about the power of habit. I think it's Charles Duhigg, and the habit loop. So this is really designed around a habit loop. So we have a cue. You're going to set a SMART goal. You're going to have a reward, which is going to be celebrated success. And that will hopefully the routine will be the stuff in between. So writing your goals down, if you don't write it down, it's just an idea. It's just some kind of hope or aspiration. There's nothing concrete. Create a goal setting system. When are you setting goals? How often are you reviewing those goals? How often are you measuring your success? I think having realistic goals is very important, because if you continue to miss goals, if you're setting your sights too high and you continue to miss that, it's very damaging to your self-confidence and self-esteem. So having a realistic goal that's actually attainable, very, very important. Work backwards from your goal and create a plan, and then work the plan. If you have no plan in place to achieve your goal, it's almost certain you won't achieve your goal. And then seek help when you need it, especially expert help. Now, you might be help, like, for instance, in our firm, I need to hire a couple more people. I need to hire somebody who had more skills than me in one realm. I need to hire somebody who had more skills than the rest of the team in another realm. So we got some real quality people in there, really hoping that everything's going to be good there. But you might also be seeking help, like expert help. So coaching is an example. That's something that is worth discussing or worth considering. Be accountable, whether that's to yourself, your spouse, an accountability partner, your children, there's your team. There's all sorts of people you can be accountable to, but make yourself accountable and be inspired. If you get negative, if you get down on things, you're not going to get there. So any questions about this part of it? Okay. All right, so last poll. Which of the following is a dangerous goal? A, we will acquire one new customer every month in 2022. B, we will grow sales by 15% in 2022 while cutting costs by 5%. C, we will grow sales by 15% in 2022. A and B, or all of the above.
Are you guys okay? Perfect. I was going to say, hang on a sec. I don't see anybody voting yet. They're thinking about it.
All
That's
three
okay.
of us.
That's okay. All right. So there's 2 of 3. So I'm not sure if that's Bori or Jonathan, because I know
No, I voted.
you voted. Okay. You don't get CPD from it because you present, but that's okay. So we'll just give Bori a few more minutes. Call her out. Say you want your CPD. So we'll give. Doesn't have to be the right answer, just any answer. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll end the poll and share the results.
Hey, I'm very happy with that. Yes, all of these can be very dangerous. You know, are we acquiring the right type of customer? Are we growing sales for the sake of growing sales? We're not delivering. I've seen so many firms get tanked, and Tanya, we've been on this journey together for a long time, and you've seen the same thing happen.
Absolutely.
People are like, you know, the darling of the industry 1 month, and then they're gone 3 months later.
Yeah.
You know, they have this kind of headcount, they have this kind of revenue, and then all of a sudden their delivery is just terrible. So they get absolutely demolished.
Or what happens with that too is we've seen people, and there's somebody who we know who is up by you as well too, who is going through that. And then you know, just to name one, I probably can take 10 people off the top of my head easily without even thinking about it, that because the deliverables aren't there, now they're not wanting to bill for it. And then they're just, you know, putting it off, and they get themselves all stressed out. They do end up delivering, but they end up just in this great whole big stress. And it's like, you know what, you just need to realize that, like, if they don't want to cut them loose, they're not the right client. They don't want to cut them loose because they haven't delivered yet. And again, when they deliver, now there's might be potentially a huge bill going out because maybe you haven't billed them for the past 8 months worth of work, and now it's going out. So you're right. You have to be extremely careful, has to be methodically planned. You know, we bill up front, but we get in there and do that work. And I have to say, even us, there's a few times where things have kind of fallen behind and whatnot. And yeah, we've got one client right now that stuff has kind of fallen behind twice. Yes, partly because of them, but then we add to it, and then we just kind of let them fall behind. And you know what, we're doing a lot of extra work right now, not repricing until January to make up for it. But we're having that conversation with the client saying, you know what, we're both at fault here. you know, we're just going to go ahead. We're going to do this stuff. We're going to get caught up. Once everything is all caught up and whatnot, you know, we're going to focus on that. Then we're going to sit down and we're going to reprice. So we at least are getting something, but you know, and she's a great client because she loves it. And, you know, I've sent her a wine gift basket too for one thing that we messed up. And it's like, oh no, here, just take some wine. And of course she's like, Tanya, you can send me wine anytime. So if you do dig yourself into those holes, you know, or you see yourself digging in, I think what I want you to take away from that is just own it and, you know, talk to that client. And if they're the right client for you, most people will be very understanding as long as you're not missing deadlines or throwing them behind on anything like that. Throw them some wine, give them some discounts, give them, you know, some extra services without charging them for. Do something like that just to kind of acknowledge and really smooth that relationship over. And it goes so far.
It really can. It really can.
With the right
And
people,
like,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, with the right people. And if people are too demanding and not understanding, maybe they're not the right people to work with as it is, because we're all human. We are all human.
Yeah, that's a big qualifier for us when we're speaking with potential customers. How are they speaking to us? What are their expectations on timeline, on deadline? And like, you know, sometimes that results in me being able to refer that to another bookkeeping firm who has more capacity, who will deal with that type of customer, right? Like somebody comes to us and it's like, I have 3 years of bookkeeping and tax returns to catch up on. I need this done by the end of the month. Well, we're not sitting around twiddling our thumbs waiting for you to come here. So we're not going to be able to achieve that for you. That's not a realistic thing for us to do. We're on shutdown between December 24th and January 3rd. So there's a whole week gone from that period. How are we going to execute on that work? We have a key team member who's off as of this Friday. He'll be off for 2 weeks. So like, you know, those are really important things to consider. The growth is what scares me. So like not scares me, but unmitigated growth scares me. And I've seen customers do this as well, where they start making commitments to do things and then not delivering. You could get sued. If you're doing business cross-border into the States, you could be doing something illegal. So those are things that are important to keep in mind. And, you know, probably think about before you go gangbusters on a sales target. Cutting costs, we all like to cut costs. I think an aggressive cost-cutting target is likely going to be unrealistic in the near future. Wages are rising and they need to, because inflation is rising, software costs are rising, everything is rising. When I went through and told our customers we were increasing our prices this year, we have 14 bookkeeping customers now. 3 of them actually said it's about time. It's about time. That was the message I got from them, was they were really expecting the price increase last year. But from a moral standpoint, I was refusing to increase prices during the height of the pandemic. Now, of course, we're starting to pay the price. So we have to. We have no choice. We have to increase our prices.
And we were exactly the same. So, and that's, you know, some of these clients are seeing a bigger, like one client came back and said, you know, it's a 36% increase. And this is, you know, this is a client who is just a support plan, but we said, like, first off, you know, you got your price, your services have not been touched. The price in your services haven't been touched since April of 2018. The only increase that you took, November of 2019, 18 months later, we passed along a software increase to you. We pulled the software out and passed the software increase along. And since then, there's been 2 more dramatic software increases. So yeah, a lot of that is that, but that's exactly, you're right. When people sit there and they look at the 36%, now mind you, that client's still only paying $200 and some odd a month because there's support. But it's that percentage. It's not necessarily the dollar amount. So yeah, now you have to justify it. And I had to point out, we ate those software inflations from November 2019. There were 2 increases. We ate them. We didn't call you. We didn't pass it along. You know, we just ate it. And, you know, you're right. You do have to, you start to pay for that. And everything is going up. Like, what was it? 7% almost inflation in the States. We were at 5% for October and September, just over 5% in Canada for October and September. It's crazy. And when you look at that, again, now you have to adjust the wage, potentially adjust the wages, because otherwise now your team isn't being able to keep up for that. So just, I would like to take advantage of just talking about this topic and just bring light to, it's called the Ontario Living Wage Network. We are applying to actually become members of it. I absolutely believe that everybody should have a living wage. I do not agree with the way that the government a few years ago tried to increase minimum wage. They need to increase it, but trying to do like, you know, pretty much $2 increase all at once just wasn't feasible, because now those increases have to be passed along, which increases inflation, which means you've just balanced out, you've just netted out everything, because now those people
We have another dollar coming this year.
another dollar. Oh my
I believe
gosh.
15 as of Gen 1.
Wow. I knew one was coming. I wasn't aware it was a whole other dollar. But anyway,
I think so. Don't quote me on that. We'll have to look that up.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but I do, when employers feel forced to do that, it gets passed along because they feel, oh, the government's forcing me to do that. They don't see the value in it, in which case they're not valuing their employees or their team. The Ontario Living Wage Network actually does go out and figure out in every area what the living wage is. And if you become a member of it, first off, they have to go through and make sure that you're paying everybody the minimum living wage. So for our area, it's $17 and change. I think it's $17.60. They just redid it too. And that is for Belleville area. That is the minimum, the minimum living wage. So you can then become Ontario Living Wage employer as long as you are paying everybody that, or you go into a plan to them to increase, and they approve the plan to get everybody there within a set time period. What I like about this is that it's optional. So employers don't feel forced to, and don't start to resent this and resent the employees or their team members because it's optional. So we are going to actually challenge. So I said to them, I personally don't like, because they said, yeah, you can plaster it all. We're going to give you the stuff and you can plaster it all over the place. I said, you know what? I don't feel that plastering everything all over the place and saying, oh, look, pat me on the back, you know, I pay my team a, you know, a living wage. It's just like with, you know, with charity, if you're giving, you need to give. You don't give to be able to brag about it, right? So what I said to them, what I would like to do is, instead of doing that, I said, I want to work with them and actually try to get some local radio stations to actually put a challenge out to other businesses to say, yes, I'm doing that, but not to be pat me on the back, to say, let's challenge other businesses out there to do that. Because if it's done properly, the businesses aren't resenting. They're not then passing all of that along. They're taking some of that cut without passing it all along to the consumer. Because of course, if it's all passed along to the consumer, inflation goes up. Now that minimum wage again is, you know, is down. So I just wanted to talk about that, tell everybody.
You also end up with a lot lower quality service showing up at a cut rate prices, right? Like we had one customer we inherited because the CGA she was working with, for $65 a month for bookkeeping and T1 bundled together, including software costs. So tell me, where's the margin in that? There's no margin in that. They were doing bank statement accounting, farming it out overseas, and nothing was, there was a lot of problems. There was never any questions asked about stuff. It was like, if you sent in something in HubDoc, then it got recorded for business. If you didn't, then it was just considered personal. Never a question asked, no nothing. And when she asked about incorporating, the advice was, oh, you shouldn't incorporate because it'll just complicate things. When we lifted up the hood and we looked, well, there was no reconciliations ever done. Yes, they didn't need to be done. There was no mandate for them to be done. But I mean, you're an accountant. I think the customer is probably expecting a specific quality of service. And, you know, then surprise, $135,000 tax bill, time to seek a second opinion. So we're helping that customer climb out of there. But the higher things are mandated for us, the more difficult it comes for businesses that try to operate above board, who are not the flea market accountant, things like that. Recently, somebody tried to sell me a book of business from a CPA who is a registered CPA operating an unregistered firm. And when we started digging into it, it's like, this is garbage. This is like shoebox accounting, and you're getting, you're charging rates that are so low that there's barely any possibility of profit there. And when you look at bookkeeping on top of that, like where's your margin? But when you're doing it cash under the table and you're not paying tax and you're not running your firm properly, a lot of that overhead is gone. So it like, the increase in price also increases the influence of the black market.
Yeah.
And that's something to
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I loved when I heard about the Ontario Living Wage Network from a client. And I said, I love that, because I lobbied against the minimum wage increases, not because I don't believe that it should be. I lobbied against the forcing it in that quickly. I believe there should be increases every single year. Again, all of this stuff. And I absolutely believe that you should choose to show your team that you value them, because you know what? Your team is your greatest asset, and it is not on your balance sheet.
Yeah. We've never believed in minimum wage. We've never paid minimum wage. We do have one overseas employee who makes about 50% more than the national average on an hourly rate. You have to value your people. If you don't value your people, why are they going to keep showing up? Especially when it's an employee's market right now. You can go out and find jobs and so on. And really creating that environment is important to employee retention and to having good relationships internally and good growth paths, good opportunities. It's important, because if it's not there, the cream of the crop is eventually going to leave, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Now I have to say, we did pay minimum wage at one point, only because that was what we could afford while we were growing. But I was very honest with them, and I said, this is where I want you to be. And hopefully, Sandra's still here, so she's well beyond that right now. And obviously, again, so it was just like, this is what we have to do for this. I'm going to give bonuses. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We'll do whatever, because again, things were tight as we were growing, but as soon as we can get there, now we do profit sharing, and there's all of this other stuff to be able to say, okay, this is what I promised. It's you're now making up for it. But I also made sure everybody could still pay their bills. That was still extremely important, that they still pay their bills. So, I don't know. So did I fulfill my promises, Sandra, so far?
Yes, so far.
So far.
I have to say, though, as an employee, like, for the flip side of things, like, minimum wage kind of sucks, and yes, you have to pay your bills, but the environment in which you work in, like, coming from a corporate background, having the flexibility to take time off when my daughter was sick, having the flexibility to work from home since COVID, like, these are things to also take into consideration, because if I was to leave and go somewhere else, I may not find that, right? Not that I'm leaving, I'm not going anywhere, but like,
hunt you down. I know where you live.
Oh, wow.
But like that was also important to me. It wasn't, as much as it's about the money, it's not just about the money, or at least for me, it wasn't.
Well, and that was part of, again, the promises that as soon as you're trained, I don't want you to come in here sick, but I don't want you to not be able to get the money for it. I don't want you to have to worry about the kids. So again, although I'm like, I can only promise minimum wage right now, but I can promise by this time that you'll be up to this minimum, whatever. Here's all the other benefits that you're going to get, to be able to do that, because, that is so important. And that's the flexibility that I wanted. And that's exactly why we, and Jonathan, you and I had this conversation, that I wanted mothers with children at that proper age, that they're like, it's not all about the career. I now want that balance, because that is worth so much. And when you're not getting it, and why should I be able to get that, and and not anything. And that's how I got Leanne. That was my tag to bring Leanne in. I said, who was going to understand more when your kids, your school is calling you because you've got 3 kids and you have to leave work, other than your aunt? you know? And then when Sandra comes along, it's the exact same thing. I don't want to say, oh, look, Leanne and I, we get to enjoy this, but you don't. That is not how you build loyalty. And that is not a place that I would want to work for. And I've been trying to build a place that I would want to work for.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. And like I say, I think it's successful because like I say, Sandra and Leanne are still here. We're still, we choose to work together. That's why I say, we choose to work together. And even before COVID, we could have all worked from home because we had that flexibility in the technology here. But as I said to people, we chose to work together because we actually enjoy each other's company. It's not always perfect. That's part of things when you get to family. Sometimes there's fights, sometimes there's some stress. It's not always 100% perfect, but you know what? You work through it.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And I mean, having that environment is huge. Having people you like to work with is huge. And I think, by seeking and not seeking people based on a price tag, I think it really helps get people the shared values in. Right? Like, so for instance, our new CGA, he could probably make more working somewhere else, but he'd have to commute. He'd have to report certain hours, certain things. It's not conducive to his lifestyle or what he wants for his lifestyle. So it was attractive to him to take less of a wage and more flexibility than it was to take more of a wage and less flexibility. So yeah, money is definitely not everything. We have to be able to pay our bills. We have to be able to secure our futures. But at the same time, values, I think, supersede the money, in my opinion. We actually have decided that we're not going to work with certain industries moving forward. Just feedback from the customers and our shared values. And it's interesting to see that. And now we're trying to decide if we want to kind of get into more of the local focus, because that was never really something for us in the past. But there's some thought about that from a marketing perspective, as well as from a ethics is the right word, but from an ethical perspective, with regards to support your neighbor so they can support you kind of idea. But anyway,
absolutely,
I digress. We got way the heck off goals and aspirations and resolutions.
I think that's good to add into goals about, again, make sure that you've got your team behind you. And again, the Ontario Living Wage Network, pass that stuff along, because if you want to get to your goals, your business goals, you need to have a good team. You need to have a loyal team. And what better way to do that than try to show them what they're worth? So I don't think we really did get off track. I think we can tie it in there. Show them what they mean to you. And if you can't do it all with monetary, then it's the whole picture. So
one of the big things we did a couple of years was start up with full benefits for our full-time team members. And then even our part-times can qualify if they work over, I think it's 24 hours a week. So now it's like once somebody comes on, they get past their probation, they get full benefits. Nice. And that's something that is very attractive to moms, especially. So yeah. Anyway, I digress. I guess we should wrap up. I'll just say great to see you guys, and have a great holiday and a happy new year, and may all your dreams come true for 2022.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everybody for joining.